I brought the works in this exhibition together. I saw many different faculty and researchers using 3D printing to come to different endpoints, different objects, and we had an opening in the gallery, and I wanted to bring all their works together.
Some of the metal parts here are from Sim3D, the lab that I work at. These are hydroturbine fins, and this was a project for the Department of Energy. So basically we have this as printed part, and then we have this fully machined part. So when it comes out of the printer, it looks like this, and then we bring it to another machine and we remove away material selectively to final dimensions.
So my work is wearable objects. Some people call that jewelry. And so in a way, my stuff departs from jewelry pretty significantly immediately because there's no precious metal, there's no gemstones. It's not something small or easy to wear. They're pretty large, and they're made out of plastic, specifically 3D modeled and 3D printed plastic. I am a craftsperson, though. I'm trained as a jeweler. So a lot of the sensibilities I have and a lot of the ways I think about making objects come out of that tradition, but the tools I use are almost exclusively digital.
3D printing, as we know it from a machine, has been really kick-started since the 70s. The idea of building through material line after line or row after row starts in ceramics with like coil building techniques or laying bricks or laying stone. And so we've kind of taken that concept of building in layers through then computers, and now we can make objects.
I start out 3D printing with 3D modeling, and really ahead of that with drawing. And then I take that into a 3D modeling application. And you have to think about it like building. So I use lines and curves and surfaces and solid objects to kind of construct things. Once those objects are done, then they're sliced into thousands of layers and sent to a 3D printer where the printer extrudes a filament, a line of plastic. It melts it almost till it's liquid and draws with it. And it draws a layer, and then the platform lowers, and it draws a layer, and it lowers until the entire object is built up in a series of layers, and then you have your object.
Right now we have a project. We were invited last year, we were invited by Extreme Habitat Institute, who had an interest in printing buildings for people who are in rural areas of Alaska, in Nome, Alaska. And it's very expensive to build there. So they were wondering if we could build more affordably. And the answer is yes, because we can actually enclose a structure without needing things like typically you would need to make a building. So we could go to the place using the local materials. We could just go with our robot and print. So since then, we've been working with them. Now we're about to enter the second phase of this study to print in Alaska, in rural areas of Alaska.
The magic thing that 3D printing does is that you can really begin to use your imagination to make things that you could not make any other way. That would be very difficult to sculpt, say, out of stone or something solid.
We can make our own concrete. We can add local aggregates, so we can go literally to a place with our base mixture and add local aggregates or recycled materials. And we don't need anything else like wooden members or typical building materials. So we can bypass the difficulties that the supply chain presents today, which raises the cost of building, right? So we can build more affordably for people who are first-time buyers or people who don't have access to infrastructure to bring materials.
So the material that we choose has a lot to do with the application. So this particular one is a 316 stainless steel with a low carbon content, and it is used for underwater purposes, right? Hydroturbine blades are going to go underwater, so it's going to be used for its corrosion resistance.
It's a great variety of work that shows how different materials can be 3D printed and what industries they could affect, right? So ours would really disrupt the building industry. It could make a huge difference. So there is many things that could come out of this type of exploration from different disciplines using this technology.